Hey guys, welcome back. I am Jason Salyer, and my poor SA Wetterlings axe here has been neglected. It's starting to rust a little bit on the surface. The edge is not nearly where it should be. The handle needs some serious oil. I had some nicks in there, some little chips in the handle from being abused somehow. Had kind of carved those out temporarily, but the axe just needs some love. And that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to show you how I kind of take care of my axe and make sure that it's operational when needed. All right, so first things first, I want to get rid of some of this surface rust on here. It's not dangerous. It hasn't got pitted or anything like that, but you know, just to make sure that stays in tip-top form, I'll just take some fine grit sandpaper. This is just some, I think it's 220. I could actually go quite a bit finer than this, but this is what I've got. Steel wool works really good too. But just to get knock off some of the top layer of rust that has formed on the blade here, I'll just quickly take the sandpaper to it. Clean that up, careful on the edge so you don't cut yourself. I like tools like axes like this because they can be easily maintained, and something like this I can literally pass down to my great-grandchildren and it will still be a viable, useful tool. So I've knocked off most of the surface rust, all that really needs to be knocked off for the most part. And it's looking a little bit cleaner, looking a little bit nicer. And then what I will do is I'll go ahead and sharpen this edge. And I use this stone here. This is a dia-sharp stone. It's got a coarse and a fine grit to it. I don't see any major damage or anything like that. What I'll typically do is I'll just kind of always do this outside, never inside. Outside light seems to always be the best for this process. I'll just take a look down the edge of my axe, and I'll see if there's any burrs or nicks or dings or really any large damage. If there's some large damaged areas, you might have to take a file to it, but hopefully you don't have anything like that. And this one doesn't have any big major dings or anything. I've gotten all those out of it in past sharpenings. So really all I need to do is dress it up, and I'll probably just use the finest side. You can do it one of two ways. I always wet the stone. Well, I shouldn't say always. I usually wet the stone to keep it from getting clogged up with debris. That's kind of the whole purpose of it, is just to have a slurry and it doesn't fill up that small little spaces between the diamonds on your sharpening stone. So I'll take something like this and I'll just wet it down. And it works best on a stone like this to bring the axe to the stone. You could do it either way. I've done it both ways, but then the water runs off and it doesn't have that slurry effect as much as when you do it like this. I actually prefer this method because I can see it a little bit better, see a little bit easier, but again, you'll fill up your stone with some debris. So I'll usually wet it, set it on something flat, and then I'll take the actual axe to the stone. Just in small circle motions, working it back and forth. And making sure that I spend equal amounts of time on both sides of the edge. And I'll just double check my work. You can kind of see where it's been removing a little bit of the material. I don't want to go too crazy with this. I just want to take enough to get it back sharp, serviceable edge. Don't want to remove too much material. Just takes a little bit of practice to figure out what angle you need to hold your axe at. It's not rocket science, just trying to maintain the kind of factory edge that's on there. And then I'll just double check it in the light, see if I'm doing it right, making sure I'm not missing any spots. Make sure I'm not going too shallow or not shallow enough. So I can still see some surface rust on there, on this portion of the axe. So I want to make sure that I change that angle a little bit, go a little bit steeper than what I had been doing just then. you can see that slurry that I was talking about. That, without the water, would build up in those pores on the stone and then fill it up, and then it wouldn't really serve its purpose anymore. So I'm pretty much at the finished final stage of sharpening here. You could always go more, I guess, and get crazy and do like a mirror finish on there, but for an axe, I don't think it's that necessary. I'll run the back of my fingernail and back of my thumbnail on the edge. Get super close. And if it easily wants to scrape my fingernail, then I know it's sharp enough. And it is. The entire surface of the edge is scraping my fingernail with very little resistance. It's kind of tacky, kind of sticky. It doesn't easily slide across, kind of like it would on a dull surface like this. It just slides right across. This kind of catches it, kind of sticks to my thumbnail. And I know that I've done a good job of sharpening it. And that's going to be a very serviceable, very functional edge for an axe. The handle needs a little bit of love as well. Like I said, I had some little chips and dings and stuff in the handle from some, I mean, who knows how that got there. It just did, just from general use and beating up my tools. So I'm just going to take this 220 sandpaper and smooth that out a little bit. Get it back to a slick surface so it doesn't catch your hand or give you a splinter or anything like that on my sensitive hands. I'm a very sensitive person. I don't know if you knew that about me. Yeah, that's pretty good there. And any other little burrs, I got some paint on there. Not sure how that happened. Overspray kind of got a paint from something. Who knows? That's off. Looking pretty slick. One more small spot. That looks like pine sap, but get that off of there. All right. Handle's looking pretty good. Back smooth. I mean, it's not perfect as it's been used, obviously. This is maybe a 10-year-old handle, something like that, 15-year-old handle. So, but it's in still really good shape. I've been careful with it, haven't overstruck it too many times and that kind of stuff. So it's in good shape. Now what we need to do is get a fresh coat of oil on our handle, and for that I'll use boiled linseed oil. A can like this will last you forever. I mean, it doesn't take very much to do a wooden handle, and this is, geez, I don't know how long I've had this, but it's been a long time. All gummed up. Pop the lid off there. There we go. And I use this pretty liberally. I don't get stingy with it. Not a real good idea to put this on your hands. You should probably wear some gloves, but safety fourth. Pour this on my handle, and it's good to do this in warmer weather too. Do it in the sunshine so the pores of the wood can kind of open up and soak it in. But just give it a nice liberal coating all over the thing, making sure you don't ignore the end grain. Pour it on there. Let that soak in for a minute. Remember, wood is like straws, basically. All those grains run the length of the wood. And if I could get that oil to soak down through the ends, that is going to be a good thing. Same thing with the top. Give it a nice little pour on top. And if you do this on the regular, your wood won't dry out. The wooden handle won't dry out, and you won't get a loose head. Like I said, I've had this axe a long time, probably, geez, I don't know, maybe 15 years, something like that. And it has never worked loose because I've been pretty diligent about applying oil to the handle, and it hasn't dried out. So if you can just do this, I do this probably once a year, give or take. When I first got it, I oiled it quite a bit to get the wood to kind of soak it all in. But then once a year seems to be about right. I don't wipe it all off. I just kind of let it soak on there. And then the boiled linseed oil will dry. Dries pretty quick actually. And then you'll have a well-maintained handle like that one. And it's very pretty to look at, which is just a nice bonus. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll actually pour some oil down in the any spaces that are between the axe head and the handle, like that little gap right there. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll pour a little bit down in there and fill up that. Probably not necessary. It's just one of those things that I do. Very last thing that I'll do is I'll take some WD-40 or some other oil, 3-in-1 oil, whatever, it doesn't really matter. I'll take it and I'll apply some of it to the actual axe head. And I'll give it a good buff. Careful not to cut myself. And once I've done that, the steel is protected now from any surface rust that might accumulate in the future. For the most part, just using it will knock most of that off. But if it's sitting up in the roost in the barn for a while, being neglected, this will help protect it. But for the most part, that's it. Now I have a razor sharp, oiled handled, oiled axe head that's going to last another 100 years or more probably. Anyway, that's how I maintain my axe. I really appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, leave us a comment. Tell me what you think about this classic axe right here. Would you prefer something like this? Do you carry a saw? Do you carry something with a synthetic handle? Or do you appreciate the classic value of something like this? Heirloom type tool. Anyway, thumbs up, leave us a comment. See you next time.